everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is Ty the Note with the Maker, the Romantic Muchiga. This is a show that inspires you to fall in love and get married.
No pressure.
No pressure, no pressure. Now, over the past episodes, I've been hosting people getting married. I've been hosting couples who have been married for quite a long time, and they've been sharing their stories and what has worked for them and what they think works to make a good marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, today, let's first move away from the love stories. We are going to get into reality. What you will expect in marriage, the challenges people face in marriage. Literally speaking, when they say marriage is not a bed of roses, today I'm hosting a very awesome couple. These are friends of mine that have inspired me. I'm sorry to say, but I've watched them when I was young. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Mr. and Mrs. Mwine, Ben Mwine, Rachel Mwine.
Kajambu. You can just call us the Mwines.
The Mwines.
Yeah.
I remember watching Rachel when you were reading news on NTV.
Oh my God.
Yes, I was in high school. I was like, I want to read news.
Guy, please stop making my wife look old.
Fast forward. I mean.
Ben, I remember you from Power FM. Yes.
Power.
Guys,
That's 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Then you moved to K.
God, I'm old.
Yeah.
Yes. And now he's that kid.
And now I'm
Yeah.
at K.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We're old.
We are old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a pleasure hosting you guys.
Glad
Thank
to
you.
come.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're looking forward. When you reached out, we were like,
Yeah, because we've been watching you, we've had your story. First of all, people would like to know, how long have you been married?
Almost 11 years.
Almost 11 years.
Almost
Well,
11.
11 in September this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how have the 11 years been?
Horrible.
Chaotic.
Horrible, chaotic.
Yeah. Get me out.
Wow.
No, not horrible. They've been adventurous.
Adventurous.
I think we like sharing a story because it's life, right?
Yeah.
We've had moments, but we started off on a place where we knew we wanted to be together. So
Yeah.
we've sort of been adjusting. Yeah, we've been adjusting.
Growing.
And a few years ago, I think we found a rhythm that allows us to be able to sort of thrive. And so we are okay.
You're okay.
I think we are okay.
We're good.
Okay, yes.
You're good. Okay, first things first. How did you guys meet?
Funny
No,
story.
no.
So we met at work. I know every time I say this, people are like, oh, dated your boss?
No, this is not true. And
No, we
I'm
did.
defending myself earlier. That's why I don't get judged.
So we met at Power FM.
Yes.
I joined the station, I think back in 2008. I was looking for work. I wanted to be a news anchor.
Yeah.
I previously come from Spirit FM, so I came to Power. Ben was station manager at the time.
Wow.
Yes. And of course, he had eyes for me because, I mean, who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't?
That's not true.
As about to say, our reverend. Anyway.
She couldn't stand me.
Where did you get this information?
Have I lied? She said I was too tough.
Oh, yeah, you were tough.
See.
You were tough.
You're
You
trying
were
to
a
be tough to
boss.
show her that, eh?
No, I'm just a stickler for excellence.
Yeah.
I don't take prisoners.
Yeah.
I can be a slave driver. And I don't entertain too much feelings and emotions in the workplace, which is a problem for some people, clearly.
So our relationship definitely started off on a tough note, like that adjustment to, okay, he's a boss, but then we are friends, we're like getting to know each other.
Yes.
So yeah, our relationship started in the workplace. And
Like most relationships, actually.
oh, is that so?
Yeah. On average, if you check around, because it's where you spend the bulk of your time,
Yeah, bulk of
proximity breeds familiarity, which usually breeds, children, actually.
Yeah.
But he reminded me of my dad. And you know what they say about girls? Yeah. Marrying their fathers. Yes.
Wow.
He did.
How?
I've never told you this.
No.
I have. You just haven't been paying attention. So I think there are things about you that reminded me of my father. Good things about you.
Yes.
Like which things?
Like the kind of music he listened to.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
My husband listens to Ryan Dawson. I know there's a certain category of people who have no idea who I'm talking
Yes.
about. I don't know when. Ruan Kenoli. Like back
John
back in the
Chisholm.
day.
Yeah. Hosanna Integrity.
Yes, Hosanna Integrity.
Yeah.
So I was like, this guy is old, and he reminds me of my father. This is a good starting point. Let's see some more.
Yes.
His knowledge of the word. You mentioned I'm a pastor's daughter.
Yes.
So for me, I was looking out for somebody who could lead me, someone who, had a relationship with God, someone who could challenge me. I'm not those independent woman. I want to thrive. I want a man to be able to lead.
Yes.
And set the tone for our relationship. And I saw a lot of that in Ben.
Wow.
The start was a bit rocky because my husband over here was still enjoying life. Yeah.
Enjoying life.
Still enjoying life. But eventually he came around.
Yeah.
he got back in line.
He came back in line. He came back in line, and 2013 we tied the knot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tied the knot.
And here we are.
Here we are.
So from dating your boss, how was it like?
No, please. I need to correct the record. She never dated her boss. We became friends when we were working together. We did spend a bit of time together. I don't know if that qualifies as dating, because it was usually in the company of other
like
people. It is almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially in this era.
In this age.
Day and age,
Okay.
yes.
But
Not testing the water.
we never officially actually had a relationship until after I had
Until
left
after
power.
he left.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Interesting.
just to put the record straight.
Okay.
Okay, thank you
The
very
record
much.
is straight.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, you've gotten married. 11 years down the road, you're happy. So, the viewers out there, they love listening to these love stories. And people are inspired to get into marriage. But now people do not know. Okay, people have seen what is happening in marriage because marriage has been having a lot of negative PR.
Yeah.
Because it's mostly the men who come out of their way, cheat, do what. We do a lot of funny things and it gives marriage a bad name.
Right.
You people have a very unique story that I would like you to share with the people out there. Today we're talking about love and finances, love and money, then love and forgiveness.
Love and forgiveness.
Yes. So let's start with love and forgiveness.
Yeah.
Ben, you're my guy. I love you so much. But there's that one time in church. Was I in high school?
Yeah.
I see Ben Mwine standing and apologizing.
Right. Yeah.
What happened?
2012. No, it's again, it's one of those things that I think got blown out of proportion quite a lot. At that time, my firstborn Jeremiah was born in 2012, and there's a whole different story about that in terms of where I was and what was going on.
Yes.
But also, we do happen to come from a church background, and there's accountability that has to be done. I'm a leader in the church.
Yes.
And so there are certain things which, if and when they happen, need to be accounted for and addressed. And so when we had that conversation, because again, here, just a leader, you're a person who has a public profile, you need to be able to speak to certain things about what standards you subscribe to and how that gets handled. And so I needed for that to happen, and we had a wonderful conversation with one of my mentors and leaders and fathers, Pastor Chris Kumagum, about that. And we said, I'd like to be able to go and, say sorry, right? The thing is that when, as a Christian, right, we sin all the time, on a daily basis. I saw a girl yesterday, and I keep, you were there last week with us at Bride and Groom, so you probably had me share about this. On a daily basis, you see a girl that has no bra, and her nipples are sticking out of her blouse.
Yes.
And images are going to form in your mind. That is sin, right? So I might not call a press conference every day to say, I saw a girl's breast today, I'm sorry. that is between me and God. I've got to be able to go and sort that out.
Yeah.
But there are certain things where, because of your profile, when and how they happen, you need to be able to come and say, this is not how things are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that get lost in translation.
Almost everything.
Actually, everything.
Yeah.
When I send you a message, you are going to read it in the tone that you think it's coming in. So you're going to see your wife wagging her finger, shaking her head, and talking. And you're like, how can she talk to me?
How
like
dare
that?
you?
Even though you were peacefully typing a message, trying to get information like what exactly is the problem.
Yeah.
So you probably hear her shouting when she's quiet.
Yeah.
That's what happens on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
You read it in the tone that you perceive the message. And so...
And then before you know it, you say something that's very dangerous. I'll never forget one particular fight. I don't even remember. That's the thing. You'll never even remember what we were fighting about. And then this particular one, I said something where I was just trying to give some context to explain to her a situation. And her reaction was, she likes to say, wow, with like 2 exclamation marks. And that's when I realized, we have entered war zone. And that's the day I realized, she's completely misunderstood what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And that day I told her, you know what? Let's pick up this conversation when I get home.
Yes.
And I remember I got home that evening and I explained to her, and she had this light bulb moment of,
that's what you meant.
me, I had gone Kandahar.
Yes.
And so from that day we agreed, no matter what disagreement there is, it has to be done in person.
Yeah.
I think I devised this. I don't know, I've never seen anyone else who has come up with this, so I can claim it as a new strategy that was devised by Mwine. Every time there's any deep or serious conversation, it can only be had when we are like this.
When you're together.
Holding hands.
Yes. Holding hands.
Even when it's fighting.
I tell you how, you go and try and fight when you're holding hands.
It has never happened. But that WhatsApp thing has happened to me before. So it was just something simple.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, how come you did this?
Fire.
Wow.
So never ever have fights online. Whenever you're having a conversation or a disagreement, whatever it is, just try doing this. Just hold hands. Because when you're holding hands, from a communication perspective, I'm saying to you, I'm not trying to be hostile.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand what you're trying to say. Let's understand each other. It's impossible. And I dare anyone who has been able to do this and have a fight where you're holding a person's hand. It's impossible.
It's very hard.
Because you realize that, we are connected.
Yes.
I am hurt, I am angry. And you're able to say all of those things without saying, your tone by default is going to change by just being able to do this. So being able to do that, we then got to the point, I think, where we learned a bit more how to communicate.
Yeah.
A big chunk of it for me came from learning a bit more about how women think and work. I grew up in a family of 6 boys. My mom really can't be described as a woman. She's a ninja by all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
I've never seen my mom as an emotional being. She will tell you, because she's interacted with her quite a bit. So everything that I've learned about women, pretty much, I've learned through her.
Yeah.
And it was at some point where I learned the concept of acknowledging feelings. I never knew that.
My husband was very dismissive.
Like most men.
Like most men, yes.
Yeah.
Very dismissive in the beginning. And I would go to him with stuff and it would be like...
But
he would quickly either divert the conversation, would go talking about something else, and I'd leave the conversation feeling like, but wait, back up. Was my thing addressed?
Yeah.
It was not addressed.
It was not addressed.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I'm not apologizing, but I was hurt about something, you know? And so that became a journey where my husband had to learn to acknowledge, like, I hear what you're saying. I may not fully understand it.
Or agree
with it, but I hear you.
Yeah.
And now, even now, I know we keep telling people we've not had a fight in a very long time.
Yeah.
But what typically happens is I'm going to tell my husband, something. And sometimes I'll tell him on
Use,
WhatsApp.
use today's example.
Which example? Oh, about coming late.
So, let me no. I am the aggrieved party.
Are you?
Yes.
I thought you said you are not agreed.
I am. So,
Yeah.
we've already agreed what time we're doing this shoot.
Yes.
I know my wife.
You do?
I know she has propensity to be very late. Like,
Very late. A little late.
what time did you pick me up?
Carry on. Carry on.
So, I tell her, I need you to pick me up at 9:15.
You said 9:21.
See. I said, please make sure you've left home. I think I said by
9:21.
No, that's picking me up. I said the time when you're supposed to leave home. I said,
You told me I have 30 minutes
yes,
to be leaving the
to
house.
be leaving the house. This was at 8:20.
Wow.
Right? So I said, you need to leave here. Because I am really good at math.
Yes.
I know how to calculate distances to within a plus or minus 1 minute accuracy.
It's the 9:21, yes.
Right? So I know exactly, like when you come, this is how long it will take us to get to the studio. This is, right?
Yes.
At the time, Mrs. Mwine is supposed to be picking me up.
Yeah.
I feel attacked.
Babe, I'm coming. I'm just about to leave home.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I left home at 9:15. A few minutes shy of 9:21.
And you expected to get to where he was in how many minutes?
I could hear the frustration in his voice because he was
Yeah.
like, babe,
But
we
I'm-
talked about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. I'm entering the car now. I'm coming.
Now, here's the lesson. The average man is going to get angry.
Actually, talk about yourself.
Right?
You could have been upset.
I was upset.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also know that my being upset will not change the price of sugar in Brazil.
Uh-huh.
It will not
It's not
affect
going
the
to change the fuel prices.
I'm
GDP.
going to tell the fuel prices.
It won't add any value to me. If it was any other individual, if it was a service provider or one of my staff or whatever, I can throw a tantrum, right? But I still need to be able to go back home and kiss this woman and enter bed with her and touch her. Right?
Yes.
How am I going to do that if I have now built up all of this anger for something that I cannot do anything about?
About here.
My wife changed my life a few years ago in the same situation.
What happened?
As always, she was late. So she enters the car. I am fuming on the inside, bubbling. She turns and looks at me very casually. Said, but now, even if you get angry, it won't change anything. Can you take a back time?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
But
whoa,
can you?
Whoa, whoa,
Instead, you're
whoa.
ruining our moment, and yeah.
The honest truth, I think that was not revealed to her by flesh or blood. It was the Holy Spirit, because I thought about it for a moment. But she didn't say it in a taunting way or whatever. She was like, but honestly, babe, yes, I'm late. But I can't change that anymore. There's nothing I can do
There's nothing
about
you can do about
that. And I thought about it and I thought to myself, yeah, actually, okay, moving on
Moving on.
from that day. Actually, today is the first time that I was a bit frustrated because I'm like, I said, I even gave you a time when you should leave home. Like when I left, you were just going to go and shower and get ready. And then an hour later, I'm like,
You're exaggerating.
it wasn't. So, but that's the thing. And I think you have to decide that us guys are doing this for life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
We are going in the same direction. There's no two ways about it. No matter how angry I get, I'm still going to have to come back home to you.
That's true.
So there are things I will look at and think, yeah, okay. So we came, I had a Zoom call, which is why I wanted her to come early because I needed to be able to do the call, meeting with the client before we could do the recording. The call happened, right? We are here, we are laughing, life is good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to think about the fact that, oh, she delayed, I don't have beef, I'm not releasing toxic endorphins in my system that are going to make me.
And that's what happens with so many couples.
Yeah.
We would dwell on so many issues, would go days not speaking,
Yeah.
silent treatment because he has not addressed my thing or he's not talked to me the way I want. Like we used to have, and we say this a lot, that as couples, you are the one who decides the bed that you sleep in.
Yeah. When you spend enough time with somebody, it's much easier for you to try and deal with whatever issues you have than to try and go and start life all over again.
With someone
With
else.
somebody
It is,
else, yeah.
even on your own,
Even on your own, yeah.
it is so much harder that unless your spouse is a serial killer or a complete narcissist who is physically abusing and doing some really, really stupid things, I think that you want to explore to the highest possible degree
Yeah.
the possibility of saying, how do we fix this? I've seen enough separations and divorces to tell you that it almost never is better on the other side.
After you divorced and separated.
Apart from like the things we've talked about of where the person is abusive, like properly or whatever. Again, I don't want to be presumptive because I don't know what people's stories are, but I feel like a lot of the things that people usually will struggle with can be worked through. Might take time.
But
It comes with difficulty and effort and
And the
prayer
death, yeah.
and the death.
When you're
Right.
when you're working through issues, I mean, even for us, when
Yeah.
I talk about that fight back in 2020, we had a fight. It was very explosive.
What caused that fight?
It was a culmination of many
Doesn't mean, yeah, see, that's the thing.
Oh, so things kept on
things
accumulating.
kept
Yeah.
on accumulating, things kept on piling up. I got to a point and I was like, what exactly is happening here? And now, my thing was, if we have failed to talk, let us bring in reinforcement. Let's call the best man, for
Yeah.
example. And we have a really awesome best man.
Yeah.
And so my husband at that point is like, okay, but then what are we saying? That we have failed to talk about our issues? And that phrase alone, I was just like, you know what?
Let us talk.
And that's
I'm
it.
done.
You almost left?
And to be honest, I wasn't even saying I'm done, like I want a divorce, but I was just exhausted. I needed a way out that was not divorce.
I offered to take her back
He
to
said,
her
like, I want
father.
to take you back to your father. I'm like, but
I was serious.
did I say pack my bags? What did I say?
No, I told you, let you get your stuff ready. Let's go to Daddy Tibbs. I'm going to apologize to him for not being wasting his daughter's time. And here's the thing, the reason for me. I also do think that if you're in a relationship, if it's not working, right? If it's at that level where you're like, it's impossible, blah, 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 close it. There is no reason to waste each other's time.
Yeah.
If you're not able to work through these things, if you're not able to find that middle ground and say, we're going to fix this, then just don't waste each other's time. And for me at that time, it was like, you know what? Let's figure out how we're going to raise Micah. Right? And I think I said, let's figure out how we're going to raise Micah. We can be able to move on with life. It will be difficult and whatever, but let's do that. But let's not hurt each other anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I don't have the bandwidth. We're going to talk about money, so you'll hear a bit about our money story.
Yeah.
And it was a thing of
Let's put a stop to this.
Yeah, because, and then in that moment, we're then able to go back quickly, and my insistence always was, has been, will always be, and I would always ask her, do you believe I love you? Because if you believe I do, then we can start
Somewhere. That's
from there. Let that be default setting, yes, baseline. Let's try and fall back on that and have a conversation based on the fact that you know I love you. Right? If that goes away, and I think one of the things that was a big, big problem at that point, because of how she felt, I remember, I think my wife saying something about whether she was doubting herself a little bit, but also doubting about whether I was her person. And that for me was it of, if you don't think I'm your guy, then there's no point in us being together, right? By the time you ask someone to marry you, by the time you allow someone to marry you, chances are you've done enough homework, you've sensed enough things to believe and think that this is my person. If that's the case, everything can be fixed. You can be able to go back to that default setting.
And therein lies the difference between men and women.
Yeah.
Men think big picture.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I married you, therefore you must know that I love
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
there are things that are happening every day, every week that are challenging that commitment.
Yes.
Yeah.
That are challenging that notion that he loves me.
Yeah.
If you're not listening to me, you're not acknowledging my feelings, you're not helping me around the house, you're not.
It's over.
It's
No,
over.
it's not that it's over.
It almost sense to go in that
No,
direction, right?
no, it's
Yeah.
not over. It's like, hold up. You
Do
said
you
you
care?
love me.
Yeah.
You said you love me, and you've chosen me. You have
Yeah.
married me.
Yeah.
Show cause, and I think that was where most of our frustration was. So, and I was trying to make a point that at the time, in working through your issues, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Because I remember having that conversation with you, and even after that fight, just feeling like so hurt and so wounded.
Yeah.
But it's in making the commitment to say, you know what? I don't like the option of separation. I don't like the option of divorce. Let me work through this pain.
Yeah.
And so I took that pain to God. And I
Yeah.
was like, Lord, I'm feeling a certain way towards my husband. And I don't see a way forward.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see beyond my pain.
And I don't like it.
And I don't like it.
Yeah.
Help me to see differently.
Yeah.
Help me to see beyond. Because how can you live with someone who you feel has hurt you so bad,
Yeah.
you almost can't move forward?
Yeah.
How are you going to be intimate? How are you going to have sex?
Yeah.
How are you going to talk? Because marriage relies heavily on friendship. It relies on we are partners,
Yeah.
we are doing life together.
Yeah.
If you feel like someone has hurt you, the natural reaction is to walk away.
Yeah.
The natural reaction is to remove that person from your circle because your heart is in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't like this feeling. Lord, help me. And that's when I kind of went back to, okay,
And
God, my relationship and all of that.
and like I keep saying, the person that has the highest propensity to hurt you is your spouse. They are the person that you have let into
Your life.
the most, not just your life, the most inner crevices of your being, physically and otherwise. In your spirit, in your soul, the person you've given the most access to is going to be your spouse.
Yeah.
So if they do something that hurts you, right? And I choose my words very carefully. Not if they hurt you. If they do something that hurts you, right? The damage to you is going to be a lot more than what your boss could do or your parent or your sibling.
Yeah.
Because this person you chose,
Yes.
right?
Has hurt you.
So when they do something that then hurts you that badly, the pain from that would be a lot worse. But now the thing for me was, every time we would have any of these fights, which would interestingly infuriate her, was we were having a fight. In my mind, I'm already thinking 4 or 5 days ahead when we have reconciled and things are kawa. Now, because I do that, I avoid the conflict here now because I'm like, you know what? I know for a fact that this thing is going to simmer and then it will get sorted. We will have a conversation. We will be fine. Right? And I would choose to go to that place. And I'm like, I know at some point, because in some cases it would be something maybe she has done. In most cases, it would be something which I have done, right? And I'd be thinking, yeah, but Ben, you're an idiot. I'm like, yeah, okay, I was an idiot. So,
How do we move from this?
yeah, I need to figure out a way to be able to make sure that I can make good and apologize and all of those things. But the state in which she is right now, I don't know if it will register properly. There was one time when I apologized to my wife and she refused.
When was that?
She decided, but I didn't mean the apology.
I don't remember that.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
She's like, I don't think you mean that. I'm like, so for me, I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 days ahead, right? Now the problem with that is that because me, I'm thinking 3 or 4 days ahead, I've therefore now made the peace and I'm like, we're going to be kawa. So I've gone back to, I am kawa. I'm going out about the Liverpool game. Life is good. Meanwhile, you know,
Chitokota, it's boiling while uncovered.
now would make her even madder.
Yeah.
Because it looks like I don't care. Because I seem to have moved on with my life. I'm perfectly all right. I'm talking to people and having conversations. Like, how can you be? I think one of those times actually we had an event, and I think we were going somewhere. And one of the most difficult things to do is if you've had a fight, then to be able to go out in public.
Oh.
One of the things that I am so privileged that in the almost 11 years of marriage that we've never had to do is to go into a public setting when we have unresolved things.
Yeah.
I think the worst case scenario, no, but even that one, we actually sat in the car for 30 minutes before we got out to go to the thingy to say we can't go out we can't go and pretend.
Yeah.
So we had the conversation there and there. We sort of bandaged the issue a little bit, kissed her on the cheek. I said, I love you. We're going to get through this. We'll finish this fight later. Now let's go and...
Just go and show up.
And we did. And then went back home. And I think that was also, in a way, a really powerful thing for us. That we didn't have to go and pretend.
Yeah.
We've never had to pretend before people that we are okay where we are not. No. And I think that's something that I'm really grateful for.
We've taken over the show.
Wow. I can see, and I like it that way. Let's get to
apologize.
Let's get to the money issue. One of the things that breaks marriages is money.
Finances. More than anything else.
Finances.
Yeah.
How have you been able to navigate that? Because because when I was talking to Rachel, because Ben is busy. Ben is like, finish with Madame. So when I was talking to Rachel, and I'm like, one of the topics we're going to talk about is love and finances. Like, finances. Tell us, how has that journey been, and how have you guys been able to?
We are on it. Without getting into much detail, let's just say that. And I want to, I've said this to her a lot in private. I think this is probably the first time I'm going to say this to my wife in public. And I'm going to try and be very careful not to get too emotional. Because I don't see any hanky. You Bachiga don't know how to.
Somebody get me tissue.
By any standards, as far as money and relationships are concerned, my wife should have left me 10 times over. By the time we got married, there was already so much debt coming from mistakes that I had made with money, that for the first maybe 3 years of our marriage, we were living off of her salary. Her salary. Useless salary, right?
Don't say that.
Plus little money. Yeah, but they know. She said 50K.
Yes, they are the marriage. I'm kidding.
There's a lot more than 50K, to be honest. And we're grateful. I'm not trying to downplay that, but for a family, you got what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I get it.
We're literally depending on her salary for a very long time.
Wow.
Unfortunately, because of that, and I think my propensity to make mistakes, my relationship with money has always been a really, really bad one. I've finally come to admit that, and I'm trying to see how to navigate that. It's been so bad that, so over the last few years or so, similar situations, you end up in a position where you've made so many mistakes with money. And unfortunately, not just your money, other people's money. Now, people's money
is quite a different story.
People's money.
Different story.
And again, I can say this in public because I've said it in some public forums, so some people might know this. Most people will not know. It got so bad to the point where at some point for me, it made me have suicidal thoughts.
Oh, you got suicidal?
Yes, I did. And the reason I got suicidal was because after what had happened before, I was trying to manage this thing without her. Because we had been through so much already, I'm like, I need to be able to try and shield my wife from this. So let me try and fix this thing and manage it. Now, the stupidity and fallacy of this is that in trying to do that, I just kept making things worse and worse and worse and worse to the point where a small hole ends up being a full crater lake. Right? And at that point now, eventually, it gets to the point where it's difficult to run away from. And that's when the suicidal thoughts now come. But because of where I have been before, that is not an option. So the moment that happens, instantly I know, one, the devil is a liar. And I called, the very first person I called, good friend of ours, Engineer Andrew Yogomisa, who's written a wonderful book.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's appeared on Reality Check, actually, on an episode that's coming up soon. He's going to be on that. Because I know him, we've had that conversation. And it's very important. I have a bunch of guys that I talk to, so they usually will know what's going on. But at this time, it was that bad. So he was the first guy I called. Because I knew he would know what to say. And he asked me, he said, have you told Rachel? I said, not yet. He said, okay, go find her. And I called, I was at work, right? And I called, I said, where are you? I need to see you. And so I went home and sat on the bed and
narrated everything.
Yeah, told me everything. So our journey with money has been chaotic, adventurous. But I want to resort back to being in a place where you are growing and evolving as a person, because that informs how you react to life's challenges.
yeah.
If you are not focused on your growth and just building your inner man, your ability to withstand challenges, because nobody chooses the challenge. Okay, there's choice. You make choices, and sometimes you end up in challenges based on the mistakes that you've made.
Yeah.
But in my case, for example, now I'm speaking as Rachel, I didn't make mistakes. But it's because I'm married to my husband that we find ourselves in a situation like this. So again, how I respond can either determine if we move forward, in the marriage, or if he decides, you know what, I guess since my wife has given up on me, then I think let me give up on myself as well, because what's the point in living, you know? And
Which happens a lot.
Which happens a lot.
And I've said this before, and it's one I've said to her, that I don't think I would have been able to make it through life if my wife hadn't decided to stand by me through this episode. She's literally been like my anchor. So her mom, my mom, my siblings, her siblings, and then some of the friends who know what's going on. I mean, it's one of those things where it's so bad where it's probably going to take a few years to be able to cover all of this obligation. And again, like I said, people with money, right? Where people come and say, hey, guy, you were there, and then people show up and then they say, okay, now we are going to court. She's had to bring Mr. Parties in a prison cell.
Yes.
Wait. You were once arrested.
Once.
People's money.
People's money.
Yeah.
Wow.
People's money.
And the thing is here, usually it's in a situation where it's not like you're running away from the obligation. It's just that you happen to be in a situation where you might not be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Now, what usually makes things really bad is everyone knows Ben Mwine is on TV. We've seen him in the Beloved. We've seen him posting important people on NBS.
Yeah.
We see him with the high flyers, rollers.
He must have money.
So this guy must have money, right? And so I think for many people to annoy them, right? And that doesn't make things any easier. And so for me, for Rachel to be able to say, she said one thing to me that literally gave me the unction to just keep going no matter what. That's the point where I found peace with my circumstances. And I told her, if I'm more than okay going to jail now, right? And every day, literally, I wake up knowing that if any of these people decides that, Ben, you're going to jail today, I will go and there's nothing I can do about it. And they are justified in doing that, right? But she said to me, I know that everything you did, you are doing because you're trying to make a better life for us.
Wow.
And Mecca, let me tell you, the day my wife said that,
I can live with
Eh?
Okay. I'm going to stop now because.
That issue didn't come.
Guys, where is that tissue? Wow.
The day my wife said that to me, I was like, okay, now you bring it on.
Bring it on.
Let's do this.
Bring it on. So that you want to talk about money? I think apart from, because there are people who usually you see in the news, very rich people who have money problems, whatever. I think if you had to do a top 10 list of money problems for people, we wouldn't be too far from, if they did it, things that they do list in newspapers.
Yeah.
I think we'd probably appear in that list somewhere.
No, we are going to appear in the papers for good reason. Not for money problems.
Yeah, but the thing is, for me, I said that it's gotten so bad because, and I don't want to make light of it, and allow me to say this very clearly, that a lot of these mistakes, and I think this is something that I have to live with on a daily basis, a lot of these mistakes end up affecting other people's lives.
Yeah.
They do a lot of damage in other people's lives.
Yeah.
And I have to live with that on a daily basis. And she knows, and we talk about this every day. I'm like, until the day I die, every dime that needs to go to a person will go to them. It might be 10 years from now, it might be 6 months from now, it will go.
It will go to them.
It doesn't undo the damage that has been done. I can't undo the damage that has been done. But I also say to myself, I can't now go and jump off a building because of that. And so for me, it's been that balance of now, how do I ensure that we can be able to live a life in spite of our circumstances. And I want to say to, especially, which camera am I looking into? I want to say especially to every woman. Your husband has challenges with money. Some of them might be because he was just being a typical idiot like me. Some of them might be because he was played. Some of them might be because he made bad decisions. There is no way you will ever understand what it means for you as that man's wife to stand by his side and say, I am here. That can literally be the difference between life and the death for most men.
Yeah.
I shut up.
You wanted to hear about money. There you have it.
You were not ready.
I was not ready. I was definitely not ready for this
You're
conversation.
not ready for this. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were suicidal and she stood by you. If she was not there for you, we would not be hearing
No.
Ben Mwine.
Yeah. But I know that I know it's the devil. Anyone who thinks about that, it usually comes from two places, which are usually combined. It's selfishness. I don't want to accept what I have done and deal with the ramifications of that.
Yeah.
So let me take the easy way out.
Yes.
And then you leave a wife and the two children behind. And where does that end? Because eventually nothing is permanent. I know for a fact in the next 3, 4, 5 years, I'll probably be worth $3 or $4 million. I'll be able to pay all my debt. I know that for a fact. I've been there before. I'm not saying that out of arrogance. I know what God has said to us. I know what potential we have, right? It's very easy for you to give up now because everything looks bleak. The unfortunate thing is that when you're going through pain like this, you usually don't have the ability to look beyond this pain. I've got friends. I look at them and marvel sometimes. There are people who, a few years ago, I started working when I was very young. By my second year at the university, I was already working, right?
Yeah.
So there are people who, because of my position and profile at that time, I would come through for quite a lot, right?
Yes.
Because they were gnashing, because things were tight, they don't have rent, they don't have school fees.
You'd come through.
And because God is saying, that Emeka guy has no rent for next month. That million shillings you have, give it to him. And I will do that. At least I can say, God has given me the grace to be able to listen and be able to do that. And the point I'm trying to make is that for some of those guys, you see a guy who has been gnashing for 4 years, literally to the point of where he has no food for his family. And then one day, things flip, and the next thing you know, that guy is driving in a convoy. That guy is driving in a convoy. That guy is driving a Range Rover that costs 400 million. That guy has 3 apartment blocks. And the point I'm trying to make is this. The most important thing you can do, especially for the man, this is for men, the most important thing you can do for yourself is to stay alive and stay hopeful.
Yeah.
Do whatever it takes to stay alive. And by staying alive, I don't mean not committing suicide. By staying alive, I mean find a way to be able to live a life where you talk to people and interact with people and stop being crippled and disabled by your circumstances.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, you will never get out.
Perfect.
Never allow to be crippled by mistakes you have made or ditches that you're in. Because at some point, you will get out of that ditch. You will be able to come and testify and say, oh, look what the Lord has done.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you ask people, right, on this show of yours, if you ask people and say, does anyone have a testimony where they've gone from negative
To positive.
and things have flipped? You will be shocked at how many shows you can do of people telling you stories of, we were evicted, my kids were eating, raw cabbage for 5 days, and now I can fly them to Dubai for a holiday every 6 months.
Yeah.
There are many stories like that. And for all of us, we've got to be able to believe that things will get better. Because they will.
I was not ready for this. Yeah. Okay.
You are not ready for it.
Okay. As we are concluding, despite all the challenges you guys have faced,
Yeah.
there's that milk story I want to hear. First tell us that milk. First narrate the milk story, babe.
Imagine what Emeka wants.
I know, right? With everything we've talked about that is life-threatening.
That is so life-threatening. We just need a light moment. First tell us about the milk
I like
story.
that. Let's end on that.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah,
have a light note.
let's end on
Yeah.
a light moment.
We are in what? First year of our marriage?
Yeah.
I'm excited to homemake.
Yeah.
Like take care
Virtuous
of my home.
woman.
Yeah. If I'm starting one,
Yeah.
but yeah.
My husband, we've kind of gotten into a rhythm where Ben likes, he takes tea in the evening. It's a thing for him. And I realize even back at their home in Okina, which is now my home. in
Yeah.
Bashar,
Yeah.
every time they would serve dinner, after dinner there would be tea for whoever wanted. So I knew where this was coming from.
For us, we have cows.
They have cows. So this one evening, there was no milk in the house. I had gotten home before him. I don't know whether I'd worked that day. I don't quite remember. But he came back home and you're asking me about tea. And I'm like, oh, but there's no milk. He's like, what? What do you mean
There's no milk in the house. A person from Kashari.
Kashari. What do you mean there is no milk? I said, are you deaf? I just said there's no milk. So he's like, so why didn't you tell me? I'm like, but you know that you take tea every day. Why didn't you come home with milk? Like, I didn't understand why I had to tell him to buy milk. I don't get it. But I think the kicker for me is, growing up, I saw my dad bring home milk every single day.
Not your mom bringing milk.
Yeah.
I
Daddy brought home milk.
Daddy
Right?
came back home with a Kavera.
Milk,
had milk.
bread,
Milk and bread,
things.
standard.
Yeah.
Sometimes there would be like bananas, sometimes there would be like sugar, but milk and bread was standard.
Standard.
So I don't understand this husband who is asking me, who has been home for milk. You, when you came back, what did you come back home? So it created such a...
Kerfuffle.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so we sat down and talked about it. And he's like, babe, home is your domain. Like, it's your space. If something is missing, tell me so that I can carry it. So I'm like, oh, wait. So you mean my mom used to tell my dad? There used to be a conversation that I was never privy to, where she would tell him, oh, by the way, today we don't have milk, so please come back home with milk and bread. So light bulb moment. And I think for me, what changed the perspective wasn't that home is my domain. It was, if something is missing, just tell him. Communicate and...
There's a bigger aspect to this story, a very deep underlying issue to this story. And it's about knowing your spouse and understanding context and background.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my dad would always get a phone call from my mom with a list of things that are not there,
Yeah.
right? So and because my dad used to drop us at school, so in most cases, my mom would probably tell Kenneth or myself, when you're coming home in the evening, these are the things that you need to remind daddy to
your dad.
come with.
Yeah.
So we'd say, oh, by the way, we need to carry, what did mommy say? We need to carry that. So we'll go back home with the milk and the bread. So the idea was that I always knew that mommy will tell us what's not there so we can go home with it. She didn't have that knowledge or perspective or background or context.
Wow.
So for you, there are things in your relationship, in your marriage, that are cause for extreme conflict.
Yeah.
And yet it's because you don't understand the background and how deeply rooted they are.
Yes.
The reason I take tea and eat bread every day is because my mom used to bake.
She had a bakery.
She had a bakery when I was younger. And
Yeah.
so whenever she would finish baking in the evening, there's bread that maybe didn't, what do they call it, when you've done the yeasting well, and so you can't sell that because it looks defective or whatever. So that's a bread that's going to come back home because it's still good bread. It's just not presentable.
It's not presentable.
So you're not going to put it in the shop, right? So you're going to bring that back home, and Mwine is going to enjoy his entire loaf of bread with
milk.
With milk.
half a liter of milk almost on a daily basis.
Wow.
And that's been the case for 45 almost years for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even now, she'll tell you, every once in a while I try and struggle. I'm like, okay, no more milk after 8 p.m.
I laugh every time he says that.
I've not been able to last more than one day.
Oh wow! I think Rachel, in your mind, you're like Faba kumanyo to say
because you're not going to. And you'll be like, babe, challenge. I'm not going to.
I'm done.
Okay, let's see how long you will go today.
To be honest, my wife is almost evil. She comes out and says, babe, do you want tea? Like, I said, I'm not going to tea. But if it's there, you bring it.
You bring.
Do you know why I say that?
Why?
Because my husband, and he does this a lot. He will say, babe, today I'm not going to have dinner. I'm like, oh, okay, so we close the kitchen because even as we want to wash dishes and move on with life. Then at like 11 p.m. we'll be like, is there food? I'm like, you just said you're not going to eat.
Yeah, but it's just a question.
You just pinched me.
It's not just a question.
It's just a
you
question.
think you want food.
Oh, wow.
Atenga, you said
I'm just saying if it's there that time.
If it's not there, then
Yeah, also, if I say I do not have dinner, it's on you to say, but there is katogo. Because you know that if there's katogo, I'm going to eat it.
yeah.
That's a different story. Sometimes you binga, you don't want. Then at 2 hours later, you're like,
Is there food? That is me. Guy. I'm actually noisy. I shouldn't tell you. But anyway, guys, your story is so beautiful. As we are concluding, what do you guys do to maintain that spark in your marriage?
That's a very interesting question
Yeah.
because we've just had, I think, what do you call it? Re-evaluation. Recently, I felt like, okay, it's been 10 years. We don't seem to be growing.
Yeah.
We have plateaued, which is possible. And that's really because of the business of life. Then we have all these challenges going on. And sometimes it just sort of clamps
Sucks at you.
sucks the life out.
It
So
does.
you're just really surviving.
Yeah.
And interestingly, in this season, our marriage has thrived. We've been closer than we have been,
Yeah.
in previous years.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you don't put in the work to keep growing.
Yeah.
So we recently started doing a date night every week.
Wow.
Yes. So every Monday, and we chose Monday because you know how Mondays can be.
Yeah. You need to put some spark in Monday. Just
some
a
life
little
in Monday.
bit.
So every
Yeah.
Monday we go away and we just talk,
Yeah.
find out what's going on in our lives. And I think also, again, because of the business of life and just managing life, you find that even when you're at home, you're not really talking. You're not really engaging into like what's going on with you, what's going on at
The
work.
phone.
The phone.
Woo!
The phone.
May God deliver us.
And so by the time you're done, you're like, I just want to shower
And
and
sleep.
sleep. So we set aside Monday to do that. And
Yeah.
just to be conscious of during the day, if it gets to about 3 p.m. and we have not talked, there's a problem. Like,
Yeah.
What's going on?
What's
So
going
we
on?
check in during the day.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Like, how's your day going? How was that meeting? You said you had appraisals. You said, you had a board meeting. Like, how's that going? And so I think just being able to check in with each other every day to know that there is someone that you call your spouse,
Yeah.
somebody that you love,
Yeah.
I think has been very key for us.
Because if you don't, and for me, and she knows this, if it gets to maybe midday or one and we've not touched the best, I will complain,
Yeah.
right? But now I currently, as we speak, have a challenge where I send her messages and she doesn't respond for 3 hours. This is the current situation
Same
that we're
boat, same boat,
Yeah,
same
yeah, I-
boat, same boat.
like the other day. I had some really exciting news.
Yeah.
On Friday, which is about a week ago.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I was very, with all this excitement, I sent a message. Well, hello, Mrs. Mwine.
Why did you call?
Are you serious, right? She hates phone
I
calls.
had phone calls. But I don't
You even told me don't call her.
Yeah, actually, yes, I told you.
Oh, you told me?
Yeah, I told
Yes, but I was with Becky,
Yeah.
and Becky told me.
Calling my name.
Becky told me you try calling. If she doesn't pick, you text. Call. No answer. No answers. Like message. I saw the WhatsApp. I'm like, fine.
So, I text this woman.
Yeah.
Hello, Mrs. Mwine. Because I had this exciting news to share with her about
Yeah.
something that I've been working on for a very long time that seems to be taking shape. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours. Like, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's, like,
Forgive. Forgive and send the message.
Wow. Beautiful story.
Oh, and we have community. We have
yes,
wonderful
very
group of,
strong community.
couples that we engage with
Yeah.
on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
And so that kind of keeps us grounded, connected. We know that we have people that we can rely on if things go sideways.
Yeah.
So community is very important.
And then I have some really, really good friends. So I have some of the best friends in the world. Interestingly, she ended up making more friends with my friends than even her own friends.
Than her own friends.
The bulk of her friends are probably now friends that were my friends. That's how good. That's how good my circle is. So
Wow.
yeah.
Guys, it's been fun hosting you. We've stretched, but thank you so much. I know you guys are busy, you're running somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Mwines. I was not ready for some stories. I was not ready.
You asked for it.
But I hope you can pick a lesson. Feel free to follow them. Rachel Mwine on Instagram.
Yes.
Ben
I'm
Mwine.
only on X. I don't want anything. Okay, YouTube. X.
X.
Yeah. I
You're
fail to do other
Instagram,
things.
you're doing something with
I'm doing
moms.
something with Dr. Evas in Reality Check. We
Yes.
have conversations on mental health,
On mental health.
in the areas of marriage, relationships, parenting. So look out for Reality Check on YouTube.
On
Oh,
YouTube.
and she's starting something really beautiful called The Good Wife.
The Good Wife.
Yes.
Interesting.
First episode's coming out
On YouTube.
when I
still?
can find a way to get them shot.
They're coming out on YouTube, right?
Yes, I'm the one holding it back.
The Good Wife.
The Good
Perfect.
Wife. Yeah.
So follow them. Look out for their shows. Really, really interesting. And I also look up to them.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for coming through despite your busy schedule. This is Tie the Knot with the Maker, the Romantic Muchiga. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe, watch. God bless you. Bye.